ส Hello! Welcome everyone to my Twitch. Welcome. It's me again. Yahoo! It's me, Kinari Hoku. And your service as always. Oh my god, I'm so sleepy. What can I do? I didn't even go to sleep late last night. I went to sleep at like midnight-ish, but it was almost right after my stream was done though. It's so confusing, like body clock and stuff. I've been wondering why. Why is it like this? I mean, it should have been easier, right? I mean, I slept in for 7-ish hours. For 7 hours. Okay, to be precise, I think it was 7 hours. Because, okay, if you think about it, if I went to bed at like midnight, like 30 minutes past midnight, then this morning I woke up at 7:30. So, does that mean I slept in for like 7 hours straight? But I'm still very, 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 very sleepy. I can't even English today. So yeah, we're gonna play. We're gonna continue Ace Attorney, the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and we are in the last chapter, the second part of the last chapter. So I think it should be. How do you call it? There should be 2 to 3 streams left after this, I think, for this one. And I'll try to see if I can get Edgeworth to work for the second part of Ace Attorney Investigations. I think I have it in the physical disc, but I didn't get a hold of it. I didn't get a hold of it because I was too stupid to know that the second part is in the same disc. So, yeah, we're starting. The unexpected halt of proceedings sends a clamor around the courtroom. But outside the Bailey, where Londoners knew nothing of the secret trial within, it was a typical still night. Then, at a little past 8 o'clock that evening, Mr. Sholmes and his partner returned to Baker Street. That is really cool. 3rd November, 8:07 p.m., Sholmes' suite. We have returned, my dear fellows. Welcome back to Britain, and thank you for your timely help. Think nothing of it. I believe you have had an even more wearing day than Mikotoba and I know. You should say that. We were on the brink of defeat in court earlier. This prosecutor, Asogi, had you on the ropes, and he's your best friend, you say? Well, he's not really the man I knew in Japan anymore. Kazuma's changed. Oh, Mr. Naruto. I mean, it's incredible to think that he'd even entertain the idea of acting as a reverse assassin. Well, nevertheless, you must introduce me. After all, I've only ever met the young man as a corpse. When all this started, almost a year ago now. Mr. Sholmes still hasn't told us the truth about what really happened back then. About the motivation for what he himself described as a great detective's lie. Now then, I must say, it's really quite a journey all the way to France. Well, it is another country, Mr. Sholmes. So, what news of Judge Hoku? We took him to Scotland Yard. The investigating detectives there have a lot of questions for the man. Poor Professor Mikotoba. This must be quite a shock for him. Ah, yes. I picked this up at the telegraph office on our way home. What is it? Surely you haven't forgotten already. I put upon you the matter only yesterday. You put upon me, Sholmes. I had to fill out your telegram to Japan and foot the bill as well. Oh, you've had a reply already? What was so urgent though, Mr. Sholmes? Such matters can wait until later. I'm far too hungry for an involved conversation at present. Well, that's good news, because supper is ready, everyone. Ah, and what a feast it is! If I were none the wiser, I think the trial were won already. Roast beef, kippers, stew, steak and kidney pie, Yorkshire pudding. Tomorrow could be a very long day, so eat up. In that case, I think I'll seat myself just here. This place appears to be the only one set with a helping of peasant as well. Oh, sorry, Hurley, not there. Huh? Why ever not? Are we in set places this evening? Yes, and that place is for Susie's daddy. For me? That's right. I made it specially for you, Professor Miki. I see. Well, that's terribly kind of you. It's a shame, really. What do you mean? Well, for a brief moment, I believed it. That Susie and I were half-sisters, I mean. Oh! Iris, do you mean... Yes, I know now. I overheard yesterday. I secretly listened into the conversation you had after I tricked you all into thinking I'd left. What? The misunderstanding arose because of that autopsy report from 10 years ago. But actually, it turned out that neither Dr. Wilson nor Professor Mikotoba are Iris's father. Yes, about that, Iris. You know, I know. You can't tell me at the moment. Oh, Iris. The peasant is by way of an apology. I'm sorry for eavesdropping. Oh, no, that's quite alright. Then why don't I get any apologetic peasant? So just who is Iris's father? I suppose it's not something we'll be finding out today. Oh, come on. So then, let us dine while our largely peasant-less plates are still piping hot. A fine idea, Sholmes. It all looks absolutely delicious. Eat as much as you like. There are always seconds. This could be our last chance to ask questions before tomorrow's trial. About that telegram from Japan, and about Kazumi. I can't let this opportunity slip away. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? Surely it's abundantly clear that I wasn't brooding over Mikotoba's refusal to share his peasant with me. Nevertheless, I felt the need to withdraw from the social circle for a while and look on with hungry eyes. Sorry, Hurley, but I cooked that peasant specially for Susie's daddy. Even though I've played the role of father to you for far longer. Mr. Sholmes, could I discuss some things with you? Certainly, my dear fellow. I find myself quite in a mood for a spell of conversation. No doubt, you're hungry to learn more of my deep love for game. I can probably contain my curiosity on that one. You needn't look at me in that fashion. In what fashion? It seems that before we discuss the peasant, we have some rather unpeasant matters to discuss. Yeah, the telegram from Japan. So, what was in the telegram you received back from Japan then? This? I thank my lucky stars it arrived in time. Record found as indicated. Duplicate follows. K. Azogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. What? Those 4 names! We've come across that exact same list before. They came up in that unforgettable case last spring. What appeared to be a simple case of aggravated murder turned out to be a masking monumental intrigue. A plot that involved the sale of British governmental secrets to foreign states. In exposing the means by which those secrets were being leaked, we deciphered a fragment of message. K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. But we didn't find the names out until the case was over, and we never did get to the bottom of what they meant. All we knew was that the information had been sent by somebody in the British government to somebody in Japan. So, why are the names coming up again now? Yes! When did the sender of your telegram discover them, Mr. Sholmes? I have here the message I had wired yesterday. Allow me to read it to you. Enter Judge Ikoku's office undetected and investigate telegram records. Expect to find communication from Britain dated 1 year ago. List of 4 names. Need by tomorrow. Naruhodo. I sent it to a detective I know who specializes in clandestine missions of this nature. You asked Inspector Ozonaga to undertake such an onerous task for you? And in my name? I wonder what prize he opted for this time. My dear fellows, it was a matter of great urgency, you understand? Anyway, the list of names was found in Seishiro's office as Sholmes predicted. So you mean that mysterious collection of names that was sent from Britain to Japan it was sent to Judge Ikoku. It was the intended recipient. I don't believe it. But that doesn't answer the question of what the list of names actually signifies. I did formulate a hypothesis about that. But without a shred of evidence, I couldn't possibly have shared it. Mr. Sholmes looks deadly serious for once. The telegram from Japan has been entered to the court record, okay? A telegram from Inspector Ozonaga in Japan with details of the telegram he managed to locate by stealing into Judge Ikoku's office. Oh. Okay, before we go into Kazuma's death, I want to examine this. You see these little things all over the place, don't you? It's a part on the top of a pocket watch that you twist to set the time, isn't it? It's called the crown. A watch would be quite useless without one. The crown? Like what says on top of the monarch's head? That's a very grand name for such a tiny part. But actually, yes, Mr. Naruhodo, if this is a crown, I have a feeling I might have seen a monarch around here somewhere with a very bare head. If by monarch you mean a pocket watch, and I'm quite sure you have. Yep. What do you think, Miss Osato? I feel sure I know exactly what will fit here. Really? I was just thinking precisely the same thing. We're about to see that the little round component is actually part of Inspector Gregson's broken pocket watch. Really? I was just thinking precisely that too. A perfect fit. I knew it. Alright, perhaps you knew it. I'll make a note of this new information at once. The small machine part that Mr. Sholmes found in Judge Ikoku's cabin on the SS Ruse. It's now clear that his missing crown is a missing crown of Inspector Gregson's pocket watch. Oh yeah, I haven't examined Karuma. Karuma, the great blade, is such a thing of beauty. I want to gaze on it for hours. The tip of the great sword, broken. It such a shame. It's been so meticulously cared for over the years. I can almost hear Karuma's sobs. Kazuma must have really taken a swing for that to happen. Yeah. Evacuation drill notice 31st October. Following departure from the port of Dunkirk, all crew members are required to assemble on the main deck at 10 p.m. in order to review evacuation procedures. The drill will take 20 minutes. Crew to resume duties as soon as the drill is over. Record found as indicated. Duplicate follows. K. Azuki, A. Shin, T. Griggs, and J. Wilson. Kazuma's death. That tragedy we had to go through on the SS Burden. It was all for nothing. Kazuma wasn't dead at all. We were completely taken in by the lie you told us, your great detective's lie. I took no pleasure in deceiving you. However, at the time, all that concerned me was preventing the young man's study tour from taking place, whatever the cost. What? I capitalized on the events that transpired to see that he was sent back to Japan. His remains, you mean? Precisely, Miss Osato. And then, I made sure that somebody else was sent to Britain in his stead. Oh my, you mean... The arrangement between our two countries was already in place. One university student lawyer and one judicial assistant to be accommodated on a study tour. In other words, by arranging for someone else to fill the place originally intended for Mr. Azuki, I would successfully prevent the man from arriving on our shores for several years at least. Wait, do you mean to say that it was all in aid of stopping Kazuma coming to Britain? That's why you... Think back, Mr. Nagato. Was there not somebody who quite casually urged you to continue the voyage to The terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. My dear fellows, the majority of problems will have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer and the study tour can continue, surely. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer. The voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. So you manipulated me? I've often remarked on the extraordinary lengths to which friendship will drive a man. I was quite sure that you would rise to the challenge for your late friend. I don't believe it. But if it was all contrived, I mean, what happened was treated by the authorities as murder. A woman was mistakenly arrested as a perpetrator. What do you suppose became of her? Naturally, I didn't allow the misapprehension to have any serious repercussions. I subsequently explained everything and assisted an unfortunate soul in finding a foreign refugee she sought. Refuge, she told me. I seem to remember Miss Osato and I had some rather strong words for her. Well, she was certainly not devoid of all guilt. She deserved every word, I'm sure. I wonder if she made it to America. I'm afraid I simply cannot comprehend it. Why would you go to such lengths, Mr. Sholmes? Why were you so determined to stop Kazuma-sama from reaching Britain? The truth is, 12 months ago, There was already a very tangible omen of the impending tragedy, you see. Oh! Welcome, everybody! An old man that at this very moment in time is close at hand. An omen of all these tragic events that already existed a year ago. It is close at hand? We need to find out exactly what Mr. Sholmes knows. You can just ask him. What? I have to present something? Wait. No man of all these tragic events. Why do we have to present? 12 months ago. So it was a year ago. Oh, this? Oh no. The coffee I have is so good. Why? Because Genshin said that Kazuma is the only weapon he's left. There was no room for doubt with your instructions in this telegram, Mr. James. You were very clear that it was Judge Igoku's office that should be searched, so you obviously knew that's where the list of names would be found. K. Azogi, A. Shin, T. Griggs, J. Wilson. But we only learned of those 4 names just over 6 months ago, and only because they appeared as part of the top secret government communications that were leaked. That's true, yes. But at the time, you weren't aware of the background. You see, those 4 names were wired to Japan. Around 6 months before that, approximately this time last year in fact, when you were both still in Japan. It really would be hypocrisy on my part to reprove others for intercepting state secrets, because after all, I'm perpetually eavesdropping on communications between the British and Japanese governments. You are perpetually doing what? How? Never mind the details, but you should know. No secret is safe from Sherlock Sholmes. When he has designs on knowing it. Oh my, Mr. Sholmes, what a fabulous line! Now, 1 month after that list of 4 names was wired to the recipient Jigoku, Dr. John H. Wilson was murdered. As soon as I learned of the incident, a hypothesis rapidly took shape in my mind. As it turned out, I was partly correct and partly mistaken. Nevertheless, it was the beginning of all the tragic events that were to follow. Mr. Sholmes, please, tell us all you know. Tell us about these 4 names and a tragedy to which they are all somehow connected. The 4 names. As I said, when I learned of Dr. Wilson's murder in Japan, my mind immediately turned to those 4 names because, you see, there was someone else on the list who I believe to be recently deceased. What? Who? A. Shin, as it was described in Japanese script, in actual fact, Miss Asa Shin. That was a familiar name to me. She was a professional killer, well known among London's unsavory classes. Oh, I see. but she had completely vanished from existence several months before Dr. Wilson's murder. So it came to the logical conclusion that she had herself been killed. And accordingly, I became fearful for the lives of the remaining 2 persons on the list. Kei Asogi and T. Gregson. Owing to our proximity, I decided to take measures to protect Gregson myself. But I determined it would be safest if young Asogi were to stay away from Japan. Oh shit, I forgot to read. Oh shit, I forgot to read again. Oh shit! Why did I do that? Okay, I'm not gonna press it. Okay. But I determined, owing to our proximity, I decided to take measures to protect Gregson myself, but I determined it would be safest if young Asogi were to stay away from him. So that's why you went to such lengths to prevent his study tour from going ahead. Exactly. Okay. So, you already know who Kazuma-sama was, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes. Sholmes and I have exchanged correspondence for years. I'd recounted many tales about Asogi to him in my letters and the news of Dr. Wilson's death, of course. So, Dr. Wilson is dead then? I didn't know. Oh, Iris. I know he wasn't my daddy, but still. That's very sad. I'm so sorry, Iris. We knew the significance of the name, obviously, but we just couldn't bring ourselves to tell you. No. But what you just told us, Mr. Sholmes, doesn't completely tie in with the facts. There's one big hole in your hypothesis. A big hole, Mr. Naruto. Ah, yes. You mean about Asa Shin, I presume. Oh, of course. Exactly. She wasn't killed, was she? She was in Japan, posing as a visiting student under the assumed name of Giselle Brent. I'm glad you're keeping up, my dear fellow. But I only became aware of that fact 2 days ago, in the foyer of the Great Waterloo Hotel. Ah. And upon hearing that startling revelation, the hypothesis that I had formed surrounding those 4 names was completely turned topsy. What? Topsy? Topsy hypothesis. What do you mean when you say your hypothesis will turn topsy, Mr. Sholmes? I had believed all 4 names on the list to be the names of victims. However, I was mistaken. Very much so, Asa Shin was a killer. So this telegram is a list of both victims and killers, is it? Indeed, and it would seem that Miss Shin was dispatched from Britain with the sole intention of dispatching Dr. Wilson. Her visiting student status being merely a front. Ha! Which would of course explain why no motive could be determined for her actions. So the real reason Dr. Wilson was killed by Asa Shin is because he was a target of an assassination. And forearmed with that knowledge, fresh consideration of this telegram puts the list in a very different perspective. What do you mean? Well, does it not strike you? There's another among the 4, who subsequently became a visiting student. Wait, you mean... But of course, a name you know only too well. You mean... Kazuma? Oh! He did say in court earlier today. Yes, on 31st October, I accompanied Inspector Gateson to Gong in order to carry out a mission. And the mission was the assassination of the monk. Young Mr. Asogi accepted that mission a year ago. Surely not. In conclusion, this document is a contract of sorts. An international agreement, one might say, detailing an assassin exchange. An assassin exchange? How could Kazuma possibly have got involved in something like that? Assassin exchange. Hello, welcome! Welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are, let's assume that we have two parties, each wishing to dispose of a distinct individual. Those two parties and make a contract to swap their respective assassination targets. That would then be an assassin exchange. So, to begin with, the British assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Japan, where she kills her target. And then the Japanese assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Britain in order to eliminate his target. It certainly does sound like an exchange, but what on earth is the point? Don't forget, Naruto, that the British assassin at least escaped conviction, thanks to the diplomatic immunity afforded by consular jurisdiction. Oh yes. Such jurisdiction should be null and void under terms of a new treaty between our two countries. So the fact that it was brought into play suggests intervention at the very highest levels. The highest levels? These murders were two sides of the same coin, linked not by a common motive but by contractual agreement. As such, they appeared utterly unrelated. Yet in truth, the assassins were complicit in one singular, devilish scheme. That disassociation and the safeguard of diplomatic immunity were, I believe, the motivation behind this plot. But wait a minute, Jones. If this telegram really is describing the exchange of assassins as you're suggesting, it would mean that the Japanese killer's target was never Seijiro Jigoku at all. It would mean Asogi's target was actually Inspector Gregson. What? Kazuma was here for Gregson? So Judge Jigoku wasn't actually the mark? Yes, that's exactly what it would mean. I hold myself personally responsible for failing to keep the inspector safe. Mr. Sholmes. I told him of my fears and implored him to seek a transfer to an overseas position. Obviously, with a young pickpocket in tow. Yes, Gina. Come to think of it, Inspector Gregson did mention that to us at the Great Exhibition, that he'd be transferring to the Paris police and taking Gina with him. But without informing me, he engaged in one last assignment, it seems. And sadly, it turned out to be his very last. This is too much to take in. Aww. Alright everyone, that's quite enough for all that serious talk for one day. Isn't it early? I mean, look at the time. Quite right, Iris. We must conclude our preparations for tomorrow. What preparations? Well, I think I shall make my way back to my hotel room. This has certainly been a night to remember. It is a little bit sad, though. I mean, I like the idea of you being my daddy. Because then Susie would have been my big sister. I'm sorry, Iris. I know, Iris. I was thinking quite the same thing. Were you? But if somebody like me would be worthy, I would be delighted to become your sister. What? Really? Oh yes, without question. So, you teach me all the ways you know to throw Bruno to the floor? Yes, of course. It would be my pleasure. You didn't have to agree quite so readily. Oh, but wait a minute. If Susie's going to be my big sister, you could be my big brother if you want, Bruno. Huh? I mean, yes, of course. But if you have me, I'll gladly be your brother. Well done, Iris. You must always be mindful of feelings. I've raised you so well. Because being sensitive is your strong suit, naturally. Oh my god. Right, I'm going to work extra hard for tomorrow now because it's for my big brother and sister. What is all this talk about preparing for tomorrow? Preparing what? Hee hee. You just have to wait and see. Oh. Good luck in court tomorrow. I'm expecting a sterling performance. I'll do my very best, of course. So, the overnight break in the trial's proceedings became a crucial turning point, exposing new truths whilst posing new conundrums. That list of 4 names on the telegram in Judge Goku's office. An extraordinary assassination plot in which my best friend has somehow become involved. I felt as though I had been plunged into an even greater darkness all of a sudden. But at the same time, I felt sure I would see the light again soon. Because I was lucky enough to have the most wonderful family in the world standing steadfastly behind me. Aww. Aww, that's so cute. What? Just that? Okay, we're gonna continue it. Oh my god, it's gonna be intense. I just know it. It's gonna be intense. 4th November, 9:30 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. Before we begin today, I have a brief announcement. As with the closed trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings. The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice, and the discovery that a respected yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion, that we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Counsels, you undertake this trial with a resolve to pursue the truth to the bitter end. Resolve, yes, that's my intention. My lord, if I may inquire, the defendant may speak. On what grounds is Kazuma Asogi permitted to continue in his role as prosecutor? Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, he kind of accepted that he is one of the plots, you know? He has admitted to colluding with a victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. He shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone be leading the prosecution. I submitted a written petition to Lord Strongheart, requesting that judgment of my transgressions be delayed by 1 day. You did what? In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life for the last 10 years has all been leading up to this one day. Kazuma. Whatever the outcome of this trial, I give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. And I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper. Kazuma is bristling with hostility today. I I get the distinct impression we are heading into very dangerous territory. Is that really even Kazuma-sama standing before us? As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted his prosecutor's request. The defense finds this acceptable, I presume. Yes, my lord. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed hearing of Baron Wences. The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Very well then. This preamble has taken long enough. Prosecutor Asogi, begin. As you wish, the prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. Bring Seishiro Jigoku into the courtroom. At last then, we have reached the final battle. He's putting literally everything on the line now in order to get to the truth. Come on, Runosuke. It's time for the steely resolve, because this is going to be to test it to the limit. Oh my god. He's witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Ah. So it was you who issued this, was it? You a subpoena? I did what was necessary. Ah ha 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 ha. Well, look what the young man has become. I didn't think I'd see the day when you'd take that tone with me, I must say. The witness will ensure his responses are pertinent to the questions asked. My name is Seijiro Jigoku, a Supreme Court judge from the Empire of Japan. 16 years ago, this man came to London as a visiting student. 6 years later, he returned to Japan. As well as presiding over the Supreme Court, he is also currently Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. I'm of course fully aware of Mr. Jigoku and his preeminent role. I invited him personally to the International Forensic Science Symposium as a representative of his country. I hear he also played a key role in the conclusion of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. It was a great honor to be involved in the negotiations and put my all into that treaty. Judge Jigoku and myself. Well, I never fancied a young murdering student turning up here of all places. You acquitted me yourself, and now I am a practicing defense lawyer. Yes, and full of self-importance like your friend across the courtroom, I see. You came here to London by invitation to the International Forensic Science Symposium. But then, without informing anyone of your plans, you took flight to France. Took flight? I'd have to reject that turn of phrase. Then explain yourself. What exactly were the circumstances? Well, I was somewhat expecting this. And I'm sorry to say, I declined to comment. What? Leaving the country prematurely when I was an invited guest may be questionable etiquette, but my decision is unrelated to this case. I can't be bound to testify. Unrelated, you say? I appreciate that a respected police inspector has been killed, for which I offer my condolences. However, being an alien, I'd obviously never met a man, nor do I know the first thing about him. As such, I'm in no position to testify. It's as simple as that. So you would run from all this? I beg your pardon? This case is more far-reaching than the murder of Inspector Grigson. It has ties to another murder, a case that was tried in Japan almost a year ago. A year ago in Japan. Murder of Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right, and you, Judge Hoku, are at the heart of both cases. The defense has evidence to prove it. Well, Runosuke, I see from the look in your eyes that you're resolved to carry this through to the very end, too. Let's see your evidence then. What proof do you have that Seijiro Jigoku is involved in this case?
Take that!
This is telegram detailing a communication sent between Britain and Japan approximately 1 year ago. The communication contained 4 names: K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, and J. Wilson. You little... Where'd you get that? In Tokyo. From your office, Jachiko. What? How on earth did you... What's this all about? Why is my name on that list? The list of 4 names follows a certain pattern. T. Gregson and J. Wilson are the names of the victims. K. Azogi and A. Shin are the names of assassins. No. A year ago in Tokyo, Dr. John H. Wilson's life was taken in a Western-style restaurant in the capital. The culprit was found to be a visiting student who went by the name of Giselle Brett, but her real name was Asa Shin, a professional killer sent on a mission to kill from Great Britain. A. Shin and her victim, J. Wilson. And the murder that just took place here in London was the counterpart to that crime. An assassin sent from Japan, also a visiting student, Kazuma Asogi, whose victim was a British police inspector. Police? What the heck? I can't English today, I'm sorry. Whose victim was a British police inspector, Tobias Gregson. K. Asogi and T. Gregson. One assassin from each country to kill a target residing in the other. What exactly is the defense suggesting? These 2 cases of murder, one that took place in Britain and one in Japan, were masterminded by a pair of individuals from each country as a form of assassin exchange. And the telegram the defense had acquired is proof of this international contract to kill. What? The telegram was found in your office, Jachikoku. In other words, the mastermind in Japan was you. Jachikoku? What's this all about? And you, Kazuma, you lied. During yesterday's proceedings, you acknowledged that you had accepted the assassination mission, but the mark wasn't Jachikoku at all. It was T. Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard, as shown by the name of the killing contract. Very impressive, Littlesky. But actually, I didn't lie. The name of the target I was ordered to kill never passed my lips, sir. The idea to say Jiro Jikoku was a mark came entirely from you. Ah! You deliberately avoided saying a name? The defense claims these 4 names indicate some sort of international assassin exchange. I'm sure I speak for all present when I say that the very idea seems utterly absurd. Well, Mr. Jikoku, what do you have to say for yourself? His silence only goes to prove his guilt. There's another very important point that this new development brings to light. There is now a distinct possibility that the scene of Inspector Gregson's actual murder was in the witness's cabin aboard their SS Cruise. Jachikoku, you have to testify. To refuse would put you in the contempt of court. Ha 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 ha! There's no need for quite such a vicious stare, young man. Very well then, as a parting gift to you all, I'll tell you everything I knew. It seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear about the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night of the 31st October. Present your formal testimony now. As you wish, my lord. Okay. The assassin exchange. It's true that Kazuma Asuki was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British study tour. However, in the end something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. If there had been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it, so clearly it can't be involved. But there's something, like some ball of cloth, like stuck in the tube though. So you admit it then, as this communication suggests. There really was an assassin exchange arrangement between Britain and Japan. A political endeavor at the highest levels, not something I can discuss here. To use such a worthy practice as foreign study to coerce somebody to commit murder is the most appalling thing I've ever heard. Appalling? Well, it's easy to judge. Pardon? Asogi had a reason for taking his sword to that British inspector, you know. What? Which is why he accepted the mission in the first place. Isn't that right, Counsel? Kazuma-sama. Judge Goku, if you're the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your counterpart in Britain. I'm not obliged to divulge that information. As I said yesterday, I've killed nobody. I freely admit that I accepted the mission, but on the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassin exchange that the defense has identified is unrelated to the events of this case. The crucial point is this. Your police inspector can't have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk, because if he had been shot in the cabin, it's inconceivable that a member of the crew would have heard him. That's right. Gregson was killed after returning to London in the room on Fresno Street. And the perpetrator of the crime was a reaper, Baron Van Zieks. The prosecution's accusation remains unchanged. To think that a seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such Machiavellian dealings? What's that? Machiavellians? I don't know. Clearly is a plot only a government minister and high-ranking judge, such as a witness, could hope to execute. Well, I seem to recall that it was someone on the British side who controlled everything. Be that as it may, it is not the place of this court to pursue the villainous assassin exchange plot. We are concerned only with the tangible events pertaining to the murder of Inspector Gregson. Is the defense clear on that point, Counsel? Yes, my lord. I'll keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. Well, I doubt it. I doubt it would keep that in mind. The assassin exchange. It's true that Kazuma Asogi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago.
Hold it!
A year ago, when Kazuma was still in Japan then. Correct. It was at the examination center for applicants for the study tour that I approached them. I'll never forget it. I remember exactly what you said. You just came out and asked me forthright if I'd consider traveling to Britain on an assassination mission. Surely not. I thought it was a joke at first, of course, but then it was made clear to me that if I didn't accept, I would be considered for a study tour. So you agreed to it just for that? I mean, I know how much you wanted to study in England, but assassination? The Empire of Japan had accepted a proposal from the British Empire at the time. An agreement to send a student from each country to the others to deepen cultural understanding and friendship. But behind the scenes, the chosen students were to be given assassination missions. I had no choice but to accept the proposal that originated from my British counterpart. Why didn't you expose the plot there and then? Britain acknowledges no part in these alleged misbegotten dealings. I advise you not to make spurious allegations, Foreign Minister Hoku. As a witness, I'm bound to tell the truth, my lord. Anyway, I picked Asogi and explained the details of the plan to him. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was the condition of the British study tour.
Hold it!
Why Kazuma? Why did you pick him as the assassin? He was the most capable of all the applicants, and in addition, I knew his desire to travel to Britain was very strong. In fact, it was almost more than a desire. It was his whole purpose in life. Yes, as his best friend, I can certainly attest to that. The way he threw himself into his studies, the way he pursued becoming qualified as a lawyer. It was all ultimately for that one single goal of being accepted on a study tour to Britain. And of course, we know the reason behind that. He was determined to find out for himself the truth about his father, Genshin Asogi. There's nothing I wouldn't have done to get here. Be that agreeing to assume the role of an assassin, or betraying people's trust. Well, you certainly did a fine job of betraying mine, Asogi. But why was Inspector Gregson the target? I have no idea. Those were the orders from Britain. I was in no position to question them. You have no idea? Really? I find that hard to believe. Oh, do you? Judge Hoku was once a visiting student here in Britain himself, of course. Perhaps he has some connection with Inspector Gregson from that time. The defense really ought to catch up. With what? With the fact that the assassin exchange has absolutely nothing to do with the case under scrutiny. Yes, I've already admitted to recruiting Asogi. However, in the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission.
Hold it!
I presume you're referring to the incident that occurred during Kazuma's passage to Britain in January. The awful tragedy that took place on the steamship. Word arrived at the ministry some 2 weeks after the ship's departure from our shores. The visiting student had been killed, but his body has somehow gone missing in Hong Kong. The news was wired to me from a detective I had placed on his ship to accompany the assassin. Obviously, Kazuma didn't actually die at all, but he did lose his memory, including all details about his special mission. Did you not consider dispatching another assassin at that point? That wasn't possible, simply because that black-clad young student over there had already put himself forward as Asogi's replacement, and there was no way to stop him from reaching Britain. My hands were completely tied. So Mr. Shom's strategy worked perfectly. He predicted everything that would happen. Months later, my memory returned, but I'd never intended to go through with the assassination mission anyway. So you were playing me right from the outset, were you? Is that it? I'd sooner be guilty of that crime than of taking someone else's life. I was prepared to do whatever I had to in order to get myself here to Britain. This line of questioning has gone on long enough. All the court should be concerned about in the testimony given by this witness are details relating to his relationship with Inspector Gregson and the victim's murder. In that case, as I've already made perfectly clear, I had no connection to the man or his death. And you have some means of substantiating this plea. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times.
Hold it!
No, there's a safety drill outside your cabin in a first-class area of the SS cruise unit. Yes, that's right. Not least because there was a murder of student passenger earlier in the year, as you imagine. The liner operators have taken to posting a crewman outside every first-class cabin door. I can confirm the presence of the crewman guard myself. What do you mean? Because I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk that night. I witnessed it with my own eyes. There was a well-built crewman standing guard directly in front of the door to the witness's cabin. At that particular time, of course, I'd gone to the ship's dining room for dinner. The inspector and I asked the crewman to allow us into the cabin while we waited for Judge Koku's return. I suppose Inspector Gregson was there in his capacity as a reaper. He was intending to take the witnesses live. Exactly. As I've said numerous times now, I had no intention of killing anyone. So the crewman let two potential assassins into the cabin he was supposed to be guarding? Not the most convincing of sentries, really. In truth, those were my thoughts too. But anyway, I stayed to talk with Inspector Gregson for a short while, and then I left him there and made my way off the ship alone. Was the guard still at the door when you went? Yes, he glared at me as I walked past. You see? That proves it. If there had been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it, so clearly it can't be involved.
Hold it!
I just knew it. The crewman who was standing directly outside the cabin door. That's right. A muscular man with a permanent gremlin expression on his face. He didn't once move from that spot. To be honest, I thought he was a miserable fellow. But as it happens, he's a vital witness now. There's no doubt that Gregson was killed by a gunshot, and it's inconceivable that a crewman standing just outside the cabin door would have heard them. But wait, what about the ship's enormous steam engines? The noise of them could have drowned out the sound of the gun being fired. Sadly, young judicial assistant, that won't wash. Oh! You recall that my cabin was in the first-class area of the ship, which is also, of course, the Chronicles. Don't imagine for a moment that it's anything like the steerage where the judicial assistants go. I didn't mean... But a hole like that made by a bullet was found in your cabin, Judge Hoku. That's compelling evidence that a gun was fired in there. Was that a bullet hole? Oh, yes. I'm talking about what the detective uncovered in the wall yesterday, I presume. That was obviously a rotten panel eaten out by woodwork. No doubt he didn't find an actual bullet. Ugh, that's a hole in this argument. Sadly, I was unable to arrange for the crewman to be brought back to Britain with me. But obviously, if a gun had been fired in my cabin on the night in question, as the defense implies, I would have been arrested on the spot and would never have made it to Britain in the first place. Very true. The witness's logic is sound. Since no gunshot was heard from the witness's cabin on the night in question, we must assume that the witness is telling the truth. I'm glad you've seen sense, Mother. I know Kazuma's already admitted to taking on this incredible assassination plot, but even so, hearing it confirmed by somebody else is still a real shock. It's unforgivable, using Kazuma-sama's feelings to manipulate him into agreeing to such a despicable plan. But I think Kazuma manipulated Judge Goku too. He completely double-crossed him. Oh dear, it's hard not to see that as a stroke of brilliance on Kazuma-sama's part. One way or another though, Gregson ended up dead. I really think that the murder must have happened aboard that steamship. So you mean, Judge Goku must be lying. I know I shouldn't let my emotions cloud my judgment. But you must destroy him, Mr. Naruto. Let's go. I'm sure it is this. Okay.
Objection!
Yes! Yes, as the court has heard, there was a crewman posted outside Judge Goku's cabin. However, we can be sure that contrary to the witness's claim, the guard wasn't there at all times. What? I've here a notice of a particular event that was scheduled to take place aboard the steamship on the 31st. What? Where'd you get that? It's evidence gathered by Mr. Herlock Sholmes. You were acquainted yesterday, if you remember. Herlock Sholmes again. According to this itinerary, after leaving the port of Dunkirk at exactly 10 p.m., and for a period of 20 minutes, all crewmen of the SS Gruz were to gather on deck for an evacuation drill. All crewmen away from their posts? And during that 20-minute interval, of course, any gunshots emanating from your cabin would have been heard by no one. In summary, Judge Goku, you had ample opportunity to commit the crime. Ah!
Objection!
Objection! A 20-minute window of opportunity, that's an excellent find, Rimouski. But it amounts to nothing. Why? Because the witness clearly stated in his testimony that no incident occurred in his cabin, unless you have some decisive evidence that can show his testimony to be false. Your accusation is nothing more than conjecture. Very true. Well, counsel? Inspector Gregson was killed in Judge Goku's cabin that night, I'm certain. Because the defense has the evidence to prove it. The Crown! You present the evidence for the defense at once, counsel. What proof do you have that the victim's life was taken in Jigoku's cabin on the 31st October? Judge Goku, this was found in your cabin yesterday. What is that? The crown of a pocket watch? A pocket watch? And if you will observe, the victim's pocket watch, which we know he treasured, is missing precisely that part. It can't be. Moreover, this crown is a perfect fit on the spindle protruding from the victim's watch. Now, the fact that this was retrieved from Judge Goku's cabin tells us that the victim's watch almost certainly broke there. In other words, the victim was killed on the 31st during the 20-minute evacuation drill, in the cabin occupied by you, Judge Goku. Well, you're razor sharp, aren't you, you young murderer? Waha! Stop
Objection!
Expertly maneuvered, Rimouski. And your argument sounds entirely plausible, at first. But rather like his pocket watch is full of cracks. What? And I believe Judge Goku feels the same way. I was wrong to acquit you earlier in the year. Sorry? If I'd known that it would result in anyone having to listen to this drivel, I would have declared you guilty just to spare the world your ridiculous bombast. I think it's clear that the witness will have to give further testimony. When you hear what actually happened in my cabin that night, you notice the pitfall into which you have stumbled. Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point. The fact that this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin means that you acknowledge she was there, I presume? Yes, I do. Very well then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony about what exactly happened in your cabin aboard the ship on the evening of the 31st October. Of course, as a man of the law, I have no intention of obstructing justice. Huh. I doubt it, you bearded man. The events in the cabin. I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me. I soon took care of him with an iponseoi throw, though. He couldn't wait to run away after that. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder. The inspector was clearly killed, having returned to Britain, because his body was found in London. Iponseoi? A common jujutsu martial arts technique in my country. I was careful not to use too much force, but the man obviously landed too heavily for his watch to take. So, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I imagine you can see the flaw in your logic now, can't you? What? The fact that the pocket watch was broken in the witness's cabin in no way proves that the victim's murder took place there. Ah! I've no doubt the inspector intended to kill him, but he didn't manage to pull the trigger. Yes, because he was merely the tactician, not the Reaper's hand of death. Well, the testimony appears to make perfect sense, as far as I can tell. Let me express my deep gratitude for your understanding. But if this testimony holds, Judge Hoku will be deemed to have had no involvement in the case. Well, counsel, I really see no reason for wasting precious court time here on cross-examination. Sorry, my lord. My lord, the defense has a right to cross-examine, and I don't intend to squander that. You are an embarrassment to your country, not knowing when you are beaten. In that case, proceed, Mr. Naruhodo. Of course, I would cross-examine him. The events in the cabin. I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room.
Hold it!
Because the so-called guard posted at your cabin door had just let your killer pass, you mean. Apparently, Gregson told the crewman it was a police inspector, which was the truth, of course. He wouldn't have had his identification with him. Yeah, true. He had his trench coat and mustache, not to mention the bag of chips. I imagine the crewman was convinced. But the man accompanying him would have had two swords slung around his waist. You mean me? Who else? Yes, that's true. You would have hoped the sight of a few swords might have set off alarm bells in the guard's head. The point is, I left the cabin before its occupant returned, and I immediately disembarked the ship. Certainly, all I can tell you is that only the inspector was waiting for me when I arrived back at my cabin, and you entered without any inkling of suspicion. That's right, none whatsoever. The coffee is so good. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me.
Hold it!
Obviously, you were talking about Inspector Gregson. Yes, though at the time, I didn't know the man's name, and there was no time for introductions. I value my life over manners. By which you mean that the inspector was there to assassinate you, I suppose. That was certainly the impression given by the gun pointing in my direction. But I've never seen the muzzle of a revolver shake about so much in all my life. Anyone would think the man had never shot somebody before. Believe it or not, most of us haven't. Anyway, there was no time to call for the help of the crewman at the door, so I dealt with the man myself. I soon took care of him with an iponseoi throw, though he couldn't wait to run away after.
Hold it!
Even though the man had a gun? That was a very brave move, isn't it? Ha 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 ha! My iponseoi is far faster than a bullet, I can assure you. But surely all that commotion caused the crewman to come in, didn't it? Yes, of course. He burst in immediately without knocking. The inspector hurled himself at a stocky fellow, and just managed to slip past him to make his escape. The outstanding guard does it again. Luckily, there aren't many situations it can't get out of using a quick upon sailing through. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder.
Hold it!
The crown snapped off and the glass covering the face of the watch was cracked. Preferable to the man's head being pulled off or his spine cracking, would you say? Not that the man was spared for long, a bullet to the chest soon saw to that. But the point is, a broken pocket watch doesn't prove that a murder took place. Absolutely not. All the watch proves is the power of my jujutsu throw. Whatever you say, it doesn't quite ring true that no shot was fired in that cabin. Because that was an obvious bullet hole in the wall. Ha 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 ha. What are you talking about? That's what the star of your low-bro detective stories told you, is it? Well, I don't care for such fiction. Haven't you worked it out yet, you little stripling? No murder took place in my cabin. The inspector was clearly killed, having returned to Britain because his body was found in London.
Hold it!
But there's no evidence that proves the victim ever returned to London alive. Just take a moment to think that the idea of yours through now, stripling. What? If the inspector was killed on a steamship in France, how on earth could have got back to Britain? When people die, their bodies remain at that same spot. It's a devil of a thing. Well, then, obviously the culprit must have moved the body. How exactly? Carrying a corpse of a ship in your arms would raise a few eyebrows at least, don't you think? Well, yes, that's true, but all passenger luggage is inspected when it is unloaded from arriving vessels. And I would like to think the border police would query the corpse of an English gentleman as hand luggage. If the murder had taken place aboard the ship, you would imagine the body would have been disposed of at sea. There would be no sense in risking being caught by attempting to transport the body back to Britain. Ugh, let's kill that idea then. But perhaps not. Miss Susato? We have heard that the first-class passengers were under constant scrutiny by the crewmen posted to guard them, which would mean that the culprit had no opportunity to dispose of the body in the sea. Yes, that's true. So transporting the body to Britain may have been the only viable alternative. Dear me, you really are new to this, aren't you? I thought I'd been perfectly clear, but it seems I'm going to have to explain it in words you can understand. I think I ought to alter my testimony, with your consent, of course, my lord. I have no objection. State your amended testimony now. There's no possible way I could have transported the victim's corpse back to Britain.
Hold it!
There's an idea. Think about it, stripling. All passengers and crew disembarked at the same time and passed through the same checks at the border. The symposium guests were then driven straight to the hotel in carriages organized by the ministry. And we met you as soon as you arrived in the hotel. So you did? Well then, you mind me. Did I have a corpse over my shoulder at the time? What? No! So we're in agreement then. I couldn't possibly have brought the inspector's body back to Britain. Unless, of course, they have developed some clever device these days to instantly move things from A to B. Funny you should say that. Professor Hairbrain's invention didn't actually work, if you remember, Mr. Naruto. Yes, of course. The defense has become unusually quiet, I notice. Yes, because there's really nothing more to say. So that's his story. Well, I suppose if you think about it, whenever you drop a teacup in the office and it breaks, you don't say, Mr. Naruto must have been murdered there, do we? Is that a fight veiled? threat about what might happen to me if I break another one. And the fact is that Inspector Rixon's body was found in a little room on Fresno Street. If he really was killed in Judge Goku's cabin, the body would have to have been moved somehow, obviously, transporting a dead body over a country border. That would be impossible for the majority of people. So there must have been some special circumstances that made it possible for the couple. Because he's a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that's why his luggage wasn't searched. Mikotoba said that. That could be a vital realization, I think, Mr. Naruto. Okay. I knew it! I think the photo... We have a photo of...
Objection!
Wahaha! There's no possible way you could have moved Inspector Rixon's body, you say? I would say the opposite is true. And what's that supposed to mean? Far from being possible for you to do. The transporting of Inspector Rixon's body back to Britain is something only you could do. What are you talking about, Runosuke? As well as being a judge, Mrs. Shigoku is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Yes! Which means he's exempt from having his luggage searched when he enters the country. We learned that when we first met you upon your arrival in London. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at border took rather a long time. I must say, I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? Ah, I knew you were jealous. Ha 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 ha. I presume you recall this, Judge Goku. It's a photograph we took in the foyer of the hotel to mark the occasion. As the court will note, you have with you your large travel trunk. Large enough, in fact, to have a corpse inside. Mr. Naruto, surely you're not suggesting... I'm afraid I am, yes. 3 days ago, when we were chatting innocently with the new arrivals from Japan in the hotel, the body of Inspector Rixon was just meters away from us, inside Judge Goku's trunk. Oh no, if it was true, that would be very... it was creepy. Order in court! I'm skeptical, counsel, that a grown man's body could fit inside even the largest travel trunk. It could. Because I happen to know that the witness himself, a man of a considerable size, fits inside his trunk. And verifying that would be extremely simple, wouldn't it, Judge Goku? But inside his trunk? How horrifying! And after we'd spoken with you at the Great Waterloo Hotel, you had the opportunity to visit the apparent scene on Fresno Street, taking your trunk with you in the cab to deposit the inspector's body. I don't have to listen to this nonsense. Dr. Gori, the coroner who examined the body, has confirmed the possibility. She's acknowledged there are signs and steps may have been taken to disguise the true time of death. The onset of the body's decomposition could have been delayed by storing it in a refrigerator. Counsel, as I remember explaining yesterday, refrigerators of the requisite size are few and far between. Yes, I'm sure they are, but one place they're certainly found is on large ocean liners. Such ships are equipped with electrically refrigerated cold rooms to keep food fresh on their long sea voyages, and the SS Cruise is no exception. Professor Mikoto told me about it only yesterday. Well, Judge Goku? However much you prolong this debate, you can't eliminate the truth. All the evidence points to you being a killer. Ha 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 ha. Well, this is all very heartening. I can see that it was a wise move, letting Asogi and you embark on the study tour. What are you talking about now? Logical reasoning, of course. All court proceedings will be built on logical reasoning in the new century. And I can see that you have both laid firm foundations for that already. Judge Hoku, please stop diverting attention from the issue at hand. The defense has made an accusation against you. How do you respond? Respond? There's really no need for me to respond, is there? Why ever not? Because before you can even begin to answer the question of when the victim was killed, you must first establish one key fact. Where was the victim killed? It's quite logical. The actual scene of the crime. The prosecution's stance is unaltered. The killing took place on Fresno Street when the gunshot was heard. As the accused, Baruch Van Zeek shot the victim at point-blank range. Since no tangible evidence exists to disprove the prosecution's claim at this time, the defense's deduction amounts to little more than an elaborate fairy tale. I'm afraid that's how the logical reasoning the British are known for really works, young stripling. The victim was shot in that little room on Fresno Street and died instantly. I'm afraid it's the prosecution's claim. That's the only fairy tale here. How can you say that? Quite simply, because that claim directly contradicts a certain piece of evidence in our possession. What possession? Very tantalizing, counsel. I think you had better explain yourself to the court, don't you? The prosecution claims that the Inspector Gregson died instantly when he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. But this evidence clearly contradicts that claim. What evidence? I don't even remember. Oh, this? Is it this one? The passport?
Take that!
The Japanese really are a curious breed. To proffer an argument with such conviction only to present such nonsensical evidence. Perhaps my Japanese friends' inexplicable thinking is why people talk of the mystique of the East. In case you hadn't noticed, I'm not the only Japanese around here. Do you even have a mirror? The court is not interested in the mystique of anything. It will be penalized accordingly. Oh my god, was the victim killed in the room on Fresno Street? Or was he moved there after this death? There's one piece of evidence we have that shows the answer to that question surprisingly clearly. Perhaps you should try to present the correct one this time then, Mr. Naruto. Are you going to try again, or can't you hold your hand steady enough to point it out? The prosecution claims that Inspector Gregson died instantly. Okay. What evidence? This? The box? But it doesn't really prove anything, right? It doesn't really... London arrival 1st November. Wait a minute. You mean if he wasn't killed on Fresno Street and he was killed aboard the SS Cruise? He was killed aboard the SS Cruise before coming. Or is it the box? Because it's the box set, right?
Take that!
No? Okay, this one is hard. I don't know. Wait. The prosecution claims that Inspector Gregson died instantly when he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. Not this. The wit? This evidence clearly contradicts that claim. He didn't die on Fresno Street. Okay, let me check this again. So this is the type of revolver that's standard issue for members of the judiciary then. Yes, and when I asked about whether records are kept about who they're issued to, I was told that for the past 5 years they've been engraved with a unique serial number. Oh, but as far as I can tell, there's nothing like that on this gun, which tells us that it must have been issued longer ago than that. The evidence that says that Inspector Gregson didn't die on Fresno Street. The prosecution claims that Inspector Gregson died instantly when he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. But this evidence clearly contradicts that claim. That means we have to find an evidence that proves that he didn't die on Fresno Street. Good morning. Good morning. Close range from the front, resulting in his instant death. Scorch marks at point of entry. The bullet exited the body from behind. The caliber of the gun used matches that of standard issue firearms from members of judiciary. Died instantly when he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. The redhead? What should I... Wait, let me think about what I should be thinking right now. Because I may be overthinking things again. So, yep, I'm in the final battle. But I'm still looking for the evidence. But this evidence clearly contradicts that claim. Contradicts that claim. A photographic print received. He appears to have no particularly distinctive facial features. Oh, maybe it is the pocket watch. No, it's not. Because a pocket watch doesn't really prove anything. Pocket watch? He found without fail. He wound without fail every single day. Having wound it up, it started ticking again. It stopped at 5 p.m. I think it's blood. So that presumably means that this was present at the scene when Inspector Gregson was killed. Is the most logical conclusion, yes. To think Gina's been carrying this around with her. If you didn't know any better, I suppose it does look like a grease stain from all the fish and chips. Oh, okay. There will be no update. I feel like it's his body. It's crouching for some reason. Maybe it's this one, I don't know.
Take that!
Oh, it is! A photograph of the victim in the body location you claim he wasn't killed? Yes, but the point is the posture of the body itself. If Inspector Gregson had been shot there in that room, it's out of the question that his body would have been curled up in a ball like that. Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but your logic is flawed. He could easily have adopted that fatal position due to the pain of the shot, which subsequently proved...
Objection!
Fatal? I'm sorry to disappoint you, Judge Hoku, but it's your logic that is flawed. What? According to his autopsy report, the victim died instantly. He would have felt no pains, much less have been able to draw himself into that position. Ah! Which begs the question of why the victim's body is curled up in that way. Though the answer should be abundantly clear by now. You're suggesting. The inspector's body took on that posture ahead of its arrival on Fresno Street, before it was coldly turned out on the floor. From the inside of a large travel trunk. No! You're quite right. The shape of the body. It looks exactly as if it had been kept in a confined space. Wow, Jigoku, you're doomed. Judge Jigoku, present your trunk for examination. I believe it's very possible that it will contain traces of the victim's blood. Ah! Present my trunk? Present my trunk? I refuse. What? On what grounds? I'm the Minister of Foreign Affairs from the Empire of Japan. I shouldn't have to put up with this treatment just because some stripling's baseless accusation. In other words, Judge Jigoku, there's blood in your trunk. I decline to answer that. As the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I have privileges that allow me to. At this moment, you're not a government minister. You're a witness in a trial in Britain's highest court. I don't care who you are or what your status outside this courtroom might be, you will not withhold information. Nothing is more important than the truth. Ah. Wah! Order in court! Well, Mr. Jigoku, what's it to be? You can't be serious. You did it? Have you no shame at all, Kazuma-Azuki? What? Very well, I admit it. I did bring the inspector's body into the country. Inside my trunk, exactly as postulated by the defense. What? You... Dear God, outrageous. So it was you! You admit to it? No, I admit to nothing more than what I've said. Or killing the man. I certainly have no recollection. What on earth is that cryptic statement supposed to mean? I merely disposed of the inspector's body, which was left in my cabin, in order to avoid unwanted attention. As a judicial assistant over there pointed out, I had no chance to throw it into the ocean. So, I decided my only option was to bring it into Britain with me and dispose of it somewhere else. You can't still deny it. If you didn't do it, then who on earth killed the man? As you know, there was one other person in my cabin that night. He had the opportunity. And moreover, he had already accepted a mission to take the inspector's life. Oh! That's right. Who else could it have been? It was you, Kazuma-Azuki. You. Wow, it's a triangle. I never thought you'd stoop to this, Seishiro Jigoku. You've taken the words straight out of my mouth, Prosecutor Kazuma-Azuki. You thought by leaving the body in my cabin you could pin the crime on me, did you? Well, the prosecution counsel has already admitted to visiting the witness's cabin on a night in question. Yes, on an assassination mission, no less. You wouldn't. How his body look like? No spoilers, please. So, well, it's good that I actually noticed the body before I read your comment, otherwise. So what do you make of that, young stripling? You've heard my testimony now, and that's all I have to say on the matter. I'll admit to nothing more. I don't believe this. Counsel for the defense. What is your position now? The court awaits your response to the witness's assertion. The assertion that on the night in question, the victim's assailant was in fact Mr. Kazuma-Azuki. This isn't a dead end it seems to be. The answer's right in front of me. It comes down to Jigoku, or Kazuma. Both of them had the opportunity to kill Gregson, but only one of them did it. And I'm just a step away from proving who. Very well, the defense is ready to respond to the assertion put forward by Judge Hoku. The idea that the victim's murder could have been committed by Prosecutor Asogi is impossible. Judge Goku, let me remind you of something you said only a few minutes ago. You claimed that logical reasoning is the future of the judicial process. It is, no question. Well, logical reasoning can prove something here. Namely, that it would have been impossible for Prosecutor Asogi to commit the crime. What? The court will only accept an argument that is supported by compelling evidence. So present what you have, counsel. What proof is there that allegedly demonstrates the impossibility of Prosecutor Asogi's involvement? Why? Because of the watch? No. Because of Karuma? Sword's tip has a small piece missing. What proof is there that allegedly demonstrates the impossibility of Prosecutor Asogi's involvement? This? Because it's the tip of the sword. Because of the gun? No, that won't prove things. A photographic print. A murder weapon that was found at the scene of the crime on Fresno Street. Like, he must have been somewhere else, right? Karuma? I feel like, let's see, a passport document that wasn't a passport. Well, he was there. One additional person. Gregson's trunk. Wait. That's blood. What proof is there that allegedly demonstrates the impossibility of Prosecutor Asogi's involvement? If Gregson had his trunk with him when he was traveling, and Kazuma actually used his sword to slash into it, why would he do that? Why would he even do that? Impossibility. I knew it wasn't gonna be easy. Because it was... He left.
Take that!
Disciplinary for crew members on the SS Cruise, my lord. This is concludes. Okay. How does that prove anything? Judge Goku, the moment you acknowledge that you found the victim's body in your cabin. This. Oh my god, I was right? What? This itinerary suddenly became much more significant. What? Why? On the night in question, as always, a crewman's sentry was on guard outside your cabin door. As long as he was there, nobody could have fired a shot inside the cabin. Absolutely, because it's inconceivable that the guard would have heard it and come to investigate. So that tells us that the crime must have taken place when the guard was elsewhere. And that narrows it down to 20 minutes just after 10 o'clock, as indicated on an itinerary. Yes, I see no flaw in your reasoning so far. But the crucial point is this: when the evacuation drill took place, the steamship had already put to sea from the port of Dunkirk. Now, clearly the murder could only have been committed by somebody who was aboard the vessel at the time. But Prosecutor Asogi stated in yesterday's proceedings, I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life, so I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. I spent that night at a boarding house in the town and returned to England the following morning. Which I'm sure the court will agree this is conclusive proof that Kazuma Asogi couldn't possibly have carried out the killing. Yeah! Oh my god, I was right. Good morning! Good morning! No, absolutely not. I don't accept that at all. What do you mean? The boy just saying to exonerate himself. We can't trust that he really disembarked the vessel. Obviously, after he left my cabin, he hid himself somewhere nearby the ship. Just waiting for his chance to come back and finish it. Nope, that's out of the question. Isn't it, Kazuma? As the defense rightly recalls, I disembarked the vessel and spent the night in a boarding house in Dunkirk. And as I said yesterday, I signed my name in the accommodations register book. All extremely easy to verify and undeniable proof. Oh no, there's no escape this time. You can forget that you're a judge or a government minister. It's time you gave the court an honest answer as a common man. You killed Inspector Tobias Gregson and transported his corpse back to Britain. Then you dumped the body in a room in Fresno Street and made it look as if the murder had happened there. That's what really happened, isn't it? Seishiro Chikoku. It was that damn trial 10 years ago. That's when all this began. Oh shit, he's gonna break it again. Looking back now, my fate was decided that day. I was doomed already. He's gonna break to counter again. Attack. Ah! Yeah, I knew it. It's over! My life is over! What the heck? A British assassin to eliminate a professor in Japan. A Japanese assassin to eliminate a detective in Britain. Both assassins will use diplomatic immunity to evade conviction and return safely to their homelands. The assassin exchange request arrived from Britain about 1 year ago. Though it was hardly a request, it was a demand. And for that, we decided to recruit Mr. Asogi. But things didn't go according to plan. Your chosen assassin never made it to Britain. And you found yourself unable to dispatch a replacement. Because I was already on my way to Britain at that time in Kazuma's place. And that left me with only one option for carrying out my obligation. To eliminate the mark myself, personally. Of course, there was but a single opportunity for me to do that. The International Forensic Science Symposium, I presume. That's right. I decided it would be safest to carry out the plan before my arrival in Britain. So I enlisted the help of my British counterpart and made arrangements for a pretext that would take the inspector to Dunkirk. To lure the man in, he was given a sham mission by the Reaper. What? The Reaper? But there's only one person who could have done that. The mastermind of the entire operation. The Reaper himself. So, that means that the assassin exchange was all planned by the Reaper. I'm not at liberty to say anything about my British counterpart. Anyway, the inspector accepted the Reaper's mission and dutifully infiltrated my cabin on a steamship. But it was all a trap designed to lead him to France and his own death. Oh my god, don't tell me. Wait. But the one who told Gregson that it should move to France was Sholmes? Oh, how awful. It was past 9 o'clock when I returned to my cabin from the dining hall that evening. I didn't give him time to attack me and choked him until he lost consciousness. But there was a guard just outside the door, so I left it at that for the time being. Even the slightest noise might have aroused suspicion, so I bided my time waiting. For the 20 minutes after 10 o'clock. I had intended to finish him by strangulation, but moments before I had the chance, he suddenly came around and went for me in a reckless move. I received the British issue gun 16 years earlier, being a member of the judiciary as a visiting student. I never imagined I'd have to use it for something like that. So the revolver belongs to you, does it? Then the victim was killed inside your cabin on the SS Ruse, which begs the question of why you arranged for his body to be discovered in the room on Fresno Street. The young judicial assistant over there has already answered that question. There was no way I could take the body up on deck to throw it over the side. That's precisely where all the crewmen were gathered for the evacuation trip. So before the first-class cabin sentries returned, I took the corpse to the refrigeration room. And then, on arriving in Dover, you concealed the body in your trunk in order to smuggle it past the border police. I knew I needed to take the steps if the police were to be convinced when the body was found in London. In that case, you must have known. You must have had intimate details of Inspector Grayson's intended schedule. Yes, my British counterpart sent me everything I needed to know. The inspector was due at Fresno Street at 5 o'clock that afternoon, in order to meet a man by the name of Hugh Booth, from whom he would take back his police identification. I decided that man would be the perfect person to set up as a culprit, so I took a hackney carriage over there with the body still in my trunk. That must have been just after we took this photograph with you at the hotel. Yes, I wasn't expecting a welcoming comedy. I was more than a little nervous. On Fresno Street, I spotted a young girl selling a little firecrackers. Miss Venus, of course. I conceived of the candle trick there and then, so I donned a simple disguise and approached the girl to buy enough firecrackers to replicate a gunshot. What sort of disguise? For some reason, the inspector had a bright red hairpiece in his own traveling case, so I put that on, although I suspect I drew more attention to myself than than I would have otherwise. Yeah, please, we found the scene. The inspector had it ready for the Red-Headed League investigation. I only arrived at the room at around 4:45, so I quickly placed the body on the floor, moved the notice board, and set up my little canopy. I arranged it so the firecrackers would go off with a bang around 15 minutes later, so that Mr. Boone, who was due to arrive at 5, would walk straight into the trap. Except, at the last moment, I made a careless blunder. What was that? I imagined it was a bag of fish and chips. Ah! I didn't notice that it had fallen out of his overcoat pocket when I moved the body to the refrigeration. I put it back into his pocket the following morning. Well, it seems the warmth of the heated cabin had accelerated the decay of the fish. Anyway, that's everything. All the sordid details of what I did. Aww. It's kind of sad. I've heard enough. We have arrived at the truth about the murder of one of the country's most capable and respected police inspectors. The witness will be tried in the coming days. For a crime of such a vile nature, you can expect the most severe penalty. An exchange of assassins. What a foolhardy idea. Mr. Jikoku, one last detail. Who was your counterpart in Britain? Who was the mastermind behind the assassinate change? Nothing you say now can make matters any worse for you. Just tell us. Enough! I've already told you that I cannot say. Even though as things stand, you may very well never set foot in your homeland again. What are you waiting for? Can we get this over with now? It's finished. All of it. I'm finished. Then, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I now pronounce the findings of this court. This man before us has admitted to the willful murder of Tobias Gregson. Seijiro Shikoku, it is the opinion of this court that you should be found guilty. But Barrock is still in the scandal, and may I remind all those present of the strict confidentiality demanded by this closed court. Moments ago, Mr. Jigoku signed a written confession admitting to the murder of Inspector Dixon and the subsequent conveyance of the body. In short, the defendant's innocence has therefore been established beyond doubt. Oh, wonderful! Well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, thank you. Is something wrong? I'm just a little troubled by his silence. The true identity of the Reaper of the Bailey and this extraordinary assassin change. We do remain in the dark about these mysteries. However, insofar as the indictment brought against the defendant in this trial, we have reached a conclusion. I have every intention of pursuing both mysteries. As a prosecutor, as you wish, now for the formal adjudication. I hereby declare the defendant Baroque Van Zeeks.
Objection!
I knew it! I knew it! He wouldn't let it go! The prosecution calls for adjudication to be deferred. Counsel? The accused's innocence hasn't been fully established at all, and therefore it would be wrong to deliver a verdict at the time. That is the prosecution's unwavering precision. What? But Judge Goku has already confessed. Nevertheless, Barrow Van Seeks has committed crimes for which he must be punished. Well, it would appear you have information that the court needs to hear, Prosecutor Asu. Certainly, the murder of Inspector Gakson was actually carried out by Seijiro Jigoku. But it's clear from the witness's testimony that he was coerced into complying into a sick, merciless assassin's change. That may be true, but... So what I want to know is, who coerced Jigoku? Who was pulling the strings? The victim went to France having been ordered on the mission for the Reaper, only to be murdered. In other words, the mastermind behind the assassin changes someone's position to give such an order. As we have already established, the Reaper himself. Well, certainly, that would appear to follow. The prosecution hereby formally accuses a man in the dock, Varafanzis, of being the Reaper of the Bailey, and furthermore, I'm going to prove his guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. What? Are you sure it wasn't included? I'm so scared now. Order. The Reaper of the Bailey is a long-standing mystery, Counsel. Are you suggesting you have some new information with which to build a case? Scotland Yard has already investigated Lord Manseek's very thoroughly in that regard, and they found no evidence whatsoever to substantiate the claim that he is the Reaper. Perhaps, but circumstances have now changed. What do you mean? It's already been established that the assassin's change was negotiated with Jigoku by the Reaper himself, which means we now have a new line of questioning by which to identify definitively the man's identity. That is the prosecution's intention. I must say I'm surprised by quite how tenaciously you appear to want to emerge my way. You are guilty of an unforgivable crime, Lord Manseeks. And I will bring you to justice for it, whatever it takes. What explains Kazuma's silence before? That explains. He'll stop at nothing to finish what Lord Manseeks unwittingly started 10 years ago. Very well, whilst it's extremely irregular. I will on this occasion grant the prosecution further opportunity for witness testimony. The defendant will disclose any and all involvement he has had with the Reaper and the assassin exchange. I thank you, my lord, for guiding the court so wisely. I hereby declare this court to be in session for a supplementary hearing. Oh my god. Oh my god. Pray turn a blind eye to the discourtesy as I verify that this vile and unremitting accusation hasn't soured the contents of my hallowed shadows. Lord Van Seeks, I first had to suffer the pseudonym of the Reaper 10 years ago now, and ever since that time I've endured the weight of implied guilt that's gone me. So I welcome the chance to testify here and crush those allegations once and for all. Good. Then let justice decide, Lord Van Seeks. The prosecution seeks to begin building his case by calling the accused to the stand as a primary witness, in order that he may answer the accusation brought by the prosecution that he is a Reaper of the Bailey. How dare repair witness stand so quickly? And what says the defense? Putting the defendant in the witness stand can be extremely dangerous, and Kazuma-sama is so emotional at the moment. He's not thinking logically. You're right that he's not himself, but I knew it would be like this. And I came here today determined to face him through whatever it might arise. As a lawyer and as his friend. Then that's what we must do. The defendant has no objection, my lord. Very well, defendant. You will take the witness stand and give the formal testimony on the subject of your involvement with the Reaper and the assassin exchange. I mean, he is already on the witness stand, as you wish, my lord. The Reaper and the assassin exchange. I've never taken the life of another, nor have I instructed another to kill him. I've been investigating the truth behind the Reaper for years, and I was aware of Gregson's involvement. That's the reason why I went to Fresno Street that day and I came to discover the body. The point is, no common thread exists between myself, Gregson, and Dr. Wilson. Clearly, therefore, there's no reason to suspect me of being behind the assassin exchange. So you deny all accusations by the prosecution, both that you are the Reaper of the Bailey and that you masterminded the assassin exchange. I acknowledge that the public at large believe me to be the Reaper. However, that's a fallacy, which I alone am in a position to forswear. Naturally, the prosecution believes the testimony just given by the accused to be untrue. Runosuke Naruhodo? Yes? Let me ask you, why are you here? What really brings you to this courtroom? A desire to uncover the truth, even if the truth proves your client to be guilty? From all my experiences in this courtroom, I've come to realize something. The truth can't be hidden. Sooner or later, it will come out. So it's always my intention to work with my client in pursuit of the truth. I want you to remember what you just said. Enough dilatory chatter. Counsel for the defense, proceed to cross-examine the witness. Yes, my lord. I know exactly what you are thinking, Kazuma. I know you're just waiting to point it out. The contradiction you're convinced lies somewhere within this man's testimony. Wow. This is intense, man. I've never taken the life of another, nor have instructed...
Hold it!
So you're not what the general public refer to as a famous Reaper of the Bailey? Exactly. Don't imagine for a moment that the court will be satisfied with a one-word answer on this. I realize that. If you're intending to comment on every sentence, this could take a while, Kazuma. Didn't you find it disturbing, though, that one by one, defendants who had been acquitted after your unsuccessful prosecution were killed? Let me answer that question by posing another. If, one by one, defendants who had been acquitted after your successful defense were killed, would you find that disturbing? Disturbing? I couldn't possibly say how that would make me feel with a one-word answer like that. Exactly. Well, that told me. But even though I'm not the Reaper, that doesn't mean I ignored all the hearsay. I've been investigating the truth behind the Reaper for years, and I was aware of Gregson's involvement.
Hold it!
You say for years? How long exactly? Since the very first time the Reaper's influence was felt in this courtroom, 10 years ago now. And your investigations led you somehow to Inspector Gregson, you were saying. I didn't want to believe it. He was a personal acquaintance. We had worked on cases together in the past. A friend, even. It felt like a betrayal, but I demanded permission to search his office at the yard without his knowledge. Which is when you found his secret notebook, is it? It's when I first learned of the location it noted only as Cruz at the appointment at 5 p.m. on the 31st, though I didn't know the significance of those details at the time. So now we are at the nub of the matter. As it turns out, the significance for me personally was very unfortunate. That's the reason why I went to Fresno Street that day and how I came to discover.
Hold it!
But why'd you go to that specific location? I thought that if it was a Reaper's headquarters, then by turning up there at 5 o'clock, I would catch whoever was involved red-handed. Sadly, all that was waiting was Inspector's quarters. Yes, even though it wasn't designed for you, you walked straight into the trap set by Jigoku. Exactly. Jigoku had intended to implicate Hugo, but unhappily for me, I arrived at the scene first. Ha! A ridiculously careless one. Moved on to just throwing insults around his seat and Kazuma. Think what you will. It doesn't change the truth. The point is, no common thread exists between myself, Gregson, and Dr. Wilson.
Hold it!
There's a link between you and Gregson, though. Of course, we were close acquaintances. We'd worked on numerous cases together. I considered the man to be a mentor of sorts. He taught me a number of important lessons. He did? Such as what? Where to buy good fish and chips, and such like. Well, that was convincing. Dr. Wilson was a coroner, of course, but that was some time in the past. And in any case, I understand it was several years ago now that he was invited to work at a Japanese university. That's right, he was a visiting professor. He was a visiting professor at Imperial Yume University in Tokyo. It'll be unambiguously clear that no link exists between myself and him. In other words, I had no motive for sending some assassin across the oceans to kill the man. It sounds plausible enough, and I want to believe it, but something about this just doesn't quite sit right with me. Yeah, exactly. Clearly, therefore, there's no reason to suspect me of being behind the assassinate chain.
Hold it!
Hello, welcome! Welcome. Certainly as it stands, there's no evidence to suggest that you concocted the scheme.
Objection!
But as it stands, we have only the accused's insistence of his innocence. Sorry? Perhaps there is some reason that would explain why he masterminded the assassinate change, and if a reason could be established later in his proceedings, then the accused's claim in his testimony that he wasn't involved would amount to perjury. Well, yes, that's true, but clearly Kazuma-sama intends to identify a reason and use it to make this case. So, if we don't identify something first, he'll gain the advantage. This could be dangerous. A convincing testimony by Lord Van Zieks. Certainly, with no apparent connection between the three men, there's no way to establish a motive. The testimony seems unassailable as far as I can see. Oh dear me, what a bleak expression! I agree, there doesn't appear to be any particular link between them at first glance, but with the inclusion of one other person. I must be overthinking it, surely. Oh, it's Clint! Another person, Mr. Narada? I need to think back over all the information we've gleaned so far. Alright, and I'll review my notes about the case and all the evidence in the court record. Could it be that Lord Van Zieks has something to hide after all? Of course! He's Lord Van Zieks! What do you mean? Nope. Clint Van Zieks. Autopsy report. What is this? An autopsy report? Wait, this is 10 years old. From the autopsy of Lord Clint Van Zieks. What? My brother's autopsy report? I'm pleased to see. The defense doesn't intend to run from the undeniable truth. Ohio! Hello! Order in court. What reason you have for presenting a 10-year-old autopsy report here, counsel? This, the autopsy report of the professor's final victim. It's an indelible link between Inspector Gregson, Dr. Wilson, and the defendant. not that accursed name again, the professor. I personally researched all the court records relating to that case. I know that at the time, autopsy was considered sacrilege to the victim's souls. And for a member of the aristocracy like Lord Clint Van Zeeks, it was unthinkable. But someone implored the powers that be to allow the autopsy to go ahead, Inspector Gregson. He declared that he was certain he would obtain conclusive proof from the procedure. And it was Dr. Wilson who conducted the autopsy. His signature is clearly visible in the document. As promised by Gregson, the autopsy did indeed produce evidence. Evidence that conclusively proved Genshin Asogi was guilty of the murders. In my brother's dying moments, he mustered all his remaining strength to leave that vital clue behind. Indeed, that was the key to indicting the professor for his crimes and the conclusive evidence that convicted him. It enabled Lord Van Zeeks here to avenge his brother's senseless death with a marvelous victory in court. I think both Kazuma and Barak have been, convinced of something, of the accusations no one has convicted. A marvelous victory, was it? I wonder if that's really true. What? Could the same be said if it turned out that the key piece of evidence in question was in fact fabricated? If the inspector, the coroner, and the prosecutor all colluded together to cast an innocent Japanese man as a mass murderer and send him to his death. That's outrageous! And now, 10 years later, for some reason, the secret has been threatened and needs protected. Which is why the inspector and the coroner had to be silenced, isn't it? By someone in power in Japan and in Britain, using the two killers recruited for the assassin exchange. Order at once! 10 years ago, my father was convicted in his very courtroom as a mass murderer to be sentenced to death. But it was all a sham, and I swore to myself that I'd prove it. Which is why I had to come to Britain, whatever the cost. You have to forgive me if I feel compelled to toast this vengeful Nipponese tenacity of purpose here. However, he who fails to quash his emotions in the courtroom has failed as a lawyer. Come on, Kazuma, you know this won't wash. You're claiming your father was misrepresented in a trial that took place a whole decade ago. You must see that without evidence, that's nothing more than a wild accusation. As it happens, I have evidence. What? As the court has heard, I crossed the channel to France with Gregson on the 31st. I went with him on the pretext of being an assassin recruited to kill Seishiro Chikoku. But my true intentions were to make the inspector tell me the truth. What truth? The truth about the evidence, and he acknowledged what I'd already deduced. There's a closely guarded secret about what went on in that autopsy 10 years ago. What? A secret? I know nothing of any secret. While we waited for my supposed mark in Jigoku's cabin, I drew my clan's illustrious sword, Karuma, before the inspector's eyes. He very quickly understood what my true motive was. Right, I see. You're that Asogi's young lad, are you? And what, you're gonna cut me down with that fang? Is that it? That will very much depend on the answers you give to my questions. I want to know what really happened 10 years ago. The truth, that's all. Before we get into it, let me make one thing clear. I still believe your father was a professor. There's no doubt in my mind. But unfortunately, back then, we didn't have the evidence we needed to make the crime stick. So, You admitted that. The evidence used in my father's trial was fabricated? It was for the good of the country. Anyway, I was just following orders. Orders? What exactly did you do? Speak! I'm not saying another word. Even if your life depends on it? That's right. Even then. So that's when the tip of the sword broke. Oh, Kazuma-sama. If the results of Clint Van Ziek's autopsy were fabricated, then the investigating officer, Gregson, and the lead coroner, Wilson, must have known about it, and they can only have been ordered to pervert the course of justice in that way by one man. The man leading the case for the prosecution, Baroque Van Zieks. In other words, the defendant did have cause to organize this exchange of assassins. Exactly, and as was established earlier, it has to have been the Reaper himself who liaised with Jigoku in Japan to arrange the exchange. Ah! So it follows that the Reaper's true identity can only be that of the man who stands accused in this courtroom today, Baroque Van Zieks. He doesn't know.
Objection!
Kazuma Asogi. What? What you've just told the court, are you absolutely certain of your facts? Did Gregson really fabricate evidence for that trial 10 years ago? I heard it with my own ears, his shameful admission. In that case, I know. The name of the Reaper. What? Lord Van Zieks? I gave no such orders. I know that for certain. Which narrows down the remaining possibilities to one. Don't tell me it's Lord Strongheart! If Lord Van Zieks isn't the one behind all this, then yes, there's only one other person who could have done something like that. It's Strongheart! I believe I know who it is too. You? I just had a feeling this name was going to come up. The true identity of the infamous Reaper of the Bailey is... Oh my god, are you...
Take that!
The only person who could have arranged the assassin exchange and manipulated the autopsy results is the Lord Chief Justice himself, Lord Male Strongheart. What? Lord Strongheart? Oh shit! Yes, it's true that 10 years ago the defendant handled the prosecution of the professor in court, but he only took over the case after his brother, Lord Clint Van Zieks, had been killed. I can only assume that this is the most inappropriate joke in British judicial history. Oh shit. Well, Lord Van Zieks? 10 years ago, I was very new to my profession, but I had a burning desire to avenge my brother's death. So I pleaded for control of the case. The investigation to that point, the supplication of the lords to follow my brother's corpse to be examined, all the evidence I was given, the autopsy report, it all came from you. I've spent my life since then believing I was in your debt for the way you stood aside and let me handle the trial. But I see now. I was very much mistaken. Oh my god, everything was... Oh my god, I would feel so bad. Genshin. It was a hugely influential force that caused the inspector and the coroner to break the law 10 years ago. And that same force was still felt a decade later on the other side of the world by Seijiro Tokoku. Lord Strongheart. Everything falls into place when we recognize that you are the Reaper of the Bailey. Oh shit. The court awaits your response, my lord. This may very well go down in British judicial history, but I assure you, it is no joke. Consider this a formal accusal by the defense. It doesn't warrant a response. A formal accusal? Don't be absurd. The defense's claims are utter nonsense, a wild fantasy at best. You're not going to defend yourself? You claim there was some wrongdoing with Lord Clint Van Seek's autopsy. That's utterly untrue.
Objection!
But I heard from Gregson's own lips. He admitted to it. And where's your evidence? What? Gregson's dead now, unless you were thinking of summoning a ghost to the stand. Well, if Mayao's here with us... You mean to say? I forget how system works in your little backwater country. But in the courts of British Empire, without evidence, there's no case. I have no intention of entertaining some wild fantasy that can't possibly be substantiated by anyone or anything. Ah! Order in court! Following Inspector Gregson's murder in the light of Dr. Wilson's death as well, there's really no one left who could testify about the events of 10 years ago, is there? So that was the real purpose of the assassin exchange. This court has no business raking over the coals of a case that was concluded a decade ago. The accusal brought by the prosecution and the defense is categorically denied. I take it there are no objections. Kazuma, he's more or less waited his whole life for this moment. Is there really nothing else we can do now? Is there no other avenue we can go down in pursuit of the truth about what happened all those years ago? If only there was someone who could testify about Clint Van Zeek's autopsy. There is someone! Dr. Gorigi! He's gone to extraordinary lengths to cover his tracks, even so far as dispatching an assassin all the way to Japan to ensure Dr. Wilson's silence. And Dr. Seith won't say anything against Strongheart. But there's still one ray of
Objection!
Actually, there's one person who could still testify about that autopsy. Don't be ridiculous, there's no one left. Who, Runosuke, who? Tell me! Kazuma, Please, this trial can't end. Not yet! I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for the truth. The person the defense would like to call to the stand to testify about the autopsy of Lord Clint Van Zeeks is... Come on, you can do it, Gory!
Take that!
Denied. What? I want to know why! And I want to know why you're proposing to call such a witness with that look of utter desperation on your face. In other words, you're wide off the mark, Runosuke. Very wide. What? No? Thanks, don't spare my feelings or anything. What? Given the contemptible allegations you're making, Counsel, I won't be letting that blunder pass unpunished. What? Why? There was somebody else present at the autopsy, Mr. Naruhodo. Surely you haven't forgotten. Mikotoba? No, I know. I'll get it. Oh, what?
Take
okay,
that!
Fine, Eugene. Come on. Heaven help us. Another Japanese? An expert in forensic medicine, my lord. Professor Eugene Mikotoba. 16 years ago. He came to London with Seijiro Togoku and Genshin Ozogi as a visiting student. And what could this testimony possibly tell us? Professor Mikotoba was a primary assistant during the autopsy in question. He was also the person who actually penned the report. Incorrect. The autopsy was carried out by the coroner, Dr. Wilson. The report carries his signature. It was a primary assistant's duty to keep a written record of the coroner's work during the procedure. In actual fact, the coroner merely read over the report, read over the report and at the end and signed it. In other words, Professor Mikotoba witnessed the entire autopsy from start to finish. The defense demands that Professor Mikotoba be summoned as a witness as a matter of urgency. Whatever really happened in that autopsy laboratory 10 years ago is something only he can tell us. The defense's demand is denied. What? But Professor Mikotoba is in London at this very moment. We could summon him to the stand in minutes. No, of course he's not going to agree to it. Strongheart has no intention of summoning anyone. He's too concerned about protecting himself. Prosecutor Asogi, let me refresh your memory as you seem to have forgotten the prosecution's stance. Only minutes ago, you accused the defendant of being the Reaper and of masterminding the assassination. I did, yes. So present your evidence for those claims and make your case complete. At this time, I don't have the requisite evidence, but that's exactly why we need witness testimony. The professor case is closed. There are no clues in the distant past that will bolster your argument today. I'm afraid to say, Prosecutor Sogi, that you would appear to be possessed by the spirit of your late homicidal father. Now, as I stated earlier, this court has already reached a conclusion with respect to the matter at hand. Inspector Gregson was murdered by Japanese Supreme Court Judge Seijiro Jikoku. As far as any hidden circumstances that may exist, they will be investigated in due course by the proper authorities.
Objection!
But we all know what will happen. They'll just give the mastermind of the whole venture time to cover his tracks again. By which you mean me? Your punishment for this contemptible behavior will be decided at a later date. As for you, Prosecutor Asugi, you'll be remanded following these proceedings. Willingly, I trust, since you gave me the word. This futile game of revenge is over, young Master Asugi. Grr. Objection! That will be all. I hereby declare this trial to be over. Court is... Yes! Mikotoba is here! Oh, I knew it. I knew it. Mr. Shows! This is no place for amateur detection, Mr. Shows. May I remind you that these proceedings are closed to the general public. You would leave the courtroom at once.
Objection!
Mr. Sholmes was instrumental in the apprehension of Seijiro Jikoku before he fled from Europe. The court should hear what he has to say. Lord Maelstrom, it's imperative that you refrain from bringing this trial to an end at this stage. Is it really? And why would that be? You need only recall your own words from the opening of the trial to answer the question. We will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Surely it can't be that the shock of being accused of being the Reaper yourself has erased that from your memory, can it? The whole truth, sir, has already been uncovered. It would seem that we have a great many important members of judiciary present here today. I put it to you, my dear fellows, should a trial end at this juncture? After all, why have you been invited to attend? To nod along the prevarications of your superiors? Order in court! It seems to me that we stand before a door that leads to a new era of legal practices. A door that is ajar. Let us emerge from the shadows of the Reaper's decade-long ascendancy. For you and you alone, my dear fellows, have the power to push this door open. auditors in the gallery have no right to express an opinion on court proceedings. Silence! He's right. The judge has absolute authority. Yes, if he calls the trial to an end, it must end. But will that really do? I sense dark things occurring behind the scenes. Dark things indeed. Is there a single person here present who can honestly... What's... He doesn't sense the same? The trial should go on. Summon the witness. That's right. We need to clear this up before the young Japanese fellow is remanded. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, his hopeful eyes. Look at his eyes. Oh my god. I really want him to know that his dad is not a homicidal, person. You know. Aww. It must be hard for him to all his life. Before the trial can be supplementary, after end this trial immediately, yeah. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's the very foundation of British law. A toast to my dependable colleagues in the gallery. Yep. My lord, you assure those present that you would uncover the truth here. Vindicate yourself with this outlandish accusation. On wish of trial, on with the trial. Testify, testify, testify. Well, my lord, you hear the voice of British justice, I take it? I think you'll find it will be rather awkward to silence. The court will recess briefly. I have no intention of shrinking from these allegations. Bailiff, arrange for the subpoena of the witness at once. As soon as the gentleman arrives at the courthouse, we shall reconvene. A recess won't be necessary. Pardon? Mikotoba is a close friend of mine. He accompanied me today and is waiting at the antechamber as we speak. I do believe he's been enjoying a little trip down memory lane, in fact. What? Professor Mikotoba is here in the courthouse? Mr. Shows, you didn't know this would happen, did you? My dear fellow, no one is in a better position to answer that question than you, surely. I wasn't just asking for the fun of it, you know. Well, I must thank you for your assistance in this matter, Mr. Shows. However, you are of no further use here. Kindly leave the courtroom at once. But of course, in truth, I find myself rather easy now as a result of these developments. Mr. Naruto? Yes? I trust you have Iris's little lucky charm. Absolutely! It's still in my pocket. She sends her regards and a reminder, if you find yourself at a dead end, the ears are at your disposal. Just one tongue, if you please. Oh, of course! In that case, the trial will continue without delay. Bailiff, show the witness to stand. So it's Lord Strongheart. He's a reaper of the veil. Where exactly is this trial going to take me? Just how deep am I about to be plunged into the blackness of the abyss? Well, I'm ready. I'm ready to head into the heart of this maelstrom and confront whatever horrors it tries to drown me out. I am so sure that we're gonna finish this next time. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that we're gonna finish this next time because it's final, like very, very final already. The trial part 3. Maybe it's not because there are 4 parts for each trial, right? So maybe in 2, probably. But yeah, we'll come back to it next time. What day is this? So it's only Tuesday. I believe I've posted my schedule. And it will be... The next time of Ace Attorney, it will be on Friday, the 24th. So we'll be continuing this on the 24th. Oh my god, my heart was pounding so fast because I really didn't want this to end, but it's ending. So we are getting to the heart of it, fellows. My dear fellows, please continue to support me to find out how this is gonna end. We kind of know who, but we don't know how just yet. So, well, poor Kazuma, I mean, he's been living with all his life thinking that his dad is homicidal, you know? Yeah, I do feel like next stream will be the final part. But yeah, thank you so much everyone for coming. Wow, we're gonna be done with this already. Oh my god, I'm so happy. Okay, I'm so happy and unhappy at the same time. But yeah, What? Oh, Vita, thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Though I know that you've been busy with work, right? I mean, you should have been working right now, but thank you so much, Todd, for coming. I love you. Please come again next time too. And I have a stream tonight at 7 p.m. GMT plus 7 on my YouTube channel. If you want to follow me on YouTube channel, please go to my YouTube channel. It's Hoku CH. HOKUCH. Yep. And we'll see you there at 7 p.m. GMT plus 7. After this, I'm going to be going out to touch some grass, and I'll be coming back. And yes, I'm touching grass again. Every day. Let's see. Who should I be rating today? Oh, Aqua is streaming. So I'm gonna go for him. Oh, he's Minecrafting. Okay. Thank you so much everyone for coming. I'll be leaving now. Bye-bye. Kiraryoku! Over and out. Mwah!